Ruby's day to babysit. And then we got this one. She can pop anytime now. Say hi, Ruby. Huh? Good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. Sometimes, I'm sure everybody's experienced this. I've experienced it several times. Had a rough weekend. Nothing horrible. Everybody's healthy. Nobody's hurt. But just had a bad weekend. It was rainy and dreary, which didn't help. I'd had a long week, been doing a lot of bus driving, not been home much, and was looking forward to just kind of relaxing Saturday. I had a project that I was in the middle of that I was planning on working on Saturday afternoon, and was just going to get up and have a lazy Saturday morning. Well, about 7 o'clock, Rhonda wakes up and she starts dressing, and I really getting dressed, which I don't think much about that, but I noticed it seemed like she was dressing in a hurry. Still, maybe she just was trying to get done so she wouldn't wake me up, because like I said, I'd had a long week. It was only 5 days, but I put quite a few hours in. Anyway, and hadn't been sleeping good. Just kind of typical stuff, nothing big deal, but like I said, I was looking forward to sleeping in and, just kind of lounging around in my sweatpants for a few hours. Just, rewind a little bit maybe. Well, then I hear the front door close. What's going on? So I get up, which, I thought, wasn't thinking too much, because figured, well, she's going to go to town for some reason. Maybe she had a grocery pickup or something, because, she does that sometimes. Well, I get up, I look out the back door, and she's standing out there looking back towards the pig pen. What's going on? That's not quite normal behavior. So I can see she's got her phone up to her ear. What's going on? So I went ahead, threw a hoodie on and my boots, and while I'm getting ready, here comes Ethan out of his bedroom. I got out there first. Well, the feeder pigs are out. The ones we're feeding out that are going to a processor tomorrow, they were out. And at first she couldn't find them. Well, we found them. They was right there. So me and the number one farmhand got them put back in and got the fence checked and thought we were good to go. Went in the house, got to doing my relaxing thing I wanted to do. About noon I went out and put my wood chipper back together. That was the project I wanted to do. I got it put back together. But being mentally challenged sometimes, I didn't think about how I had laid that motor down when I separated it from the parts I took off. And I laid it down with the carburetor down. So, and it's been setting a couple of weeks while I waited on parts and waited on time to get to it and all that. So oil's all over my workbench. But not a big problem. I get the chipper back together. And, alright, well, I go in and I'm getting a little hungry by now. Wash my hands, fix me something to eat. I believe I had a sandwich. water was getting backed up to a point where she was concerned in the basement. So we ran up to Nevada. It was about a 35-mile trip one way. Okay, so I get up there. There's no big deal with the sump pump. There just wasn't enough water yet for the float to kick it on. So I kicked it on and we made sure it all pumped out. And then here comes Rhonda hollering down the basement, "Did you get it fixed?" "Yeah." "Well, we got pigs out at home." Apparently our neighbor had seen them out and called. So we hurried up and got home. When we got home, they were in the neighbor's field across the road. So we got them put back. Oh, wait a minute, I got ahead of myself. On the way home, I'm coming up on a stop sign, and I pushed on the brake pedal, and it just, we hardly even slow down, and the pedal goes down. So I start looking for where to go, you know, because this truck ain't acting like it wants to stop. Well, I get it stopped, and we limped the truck on home, and it was raining and just horrible that day. So, and late in the evening, I'm gonna mess with it tomorrow. So we got the pigs put back in, the fence checked. Well, we put the pigs in the trailer since they're going to the processor tomorrow. This was Saturday, so they didn't have to be in there but 4 or 5 days. And so that's how my Saturday went. Sunday I got up, went out, and what had happened with the brakes is somehow the brake line, I think some dummy didn't get the brake line put on wrong, and I didn't realize that it was rubbing against the wheel. So me and Ethan start taking it apart, and it's the rubber line that's bad. If you worked on cars, you know, usually right there, it's mostly steel line, but right at the wheels they usually put on rubber lines so that there's some flexibility there, you know. Well, I couldn't get it to separate from the steel line, and we tried and just, you know, I finally got bad luck. My hands are getting cold and hurting. I'm old. I'm going to go in and warm up and do a little research. Well, come to find out, on the 2012 Ram 1500, probably others too, but specifically that one, which is what I have, the steel line and the rubber line don't separate there. So anyway, I go back out, and they're higher up on the frame, almost up to the bed of the truck. It's a block that the steel line screws into. So we took it apart there and ordered a new part from O'Reilly, because they don't carry that part in stock at my local O'Reilly. It was supposed to have been there Monday. Well, also on the weekend I got a call wanting to know if I could drive the Votech bus, which is, I've been doing that part-time last week. They wanted me to drive Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, but I couldn't do it Friday. And my part wasn't going to be in until after 10 o'clock Monday. So, you know, I didn't have time before work to put it on Monday. And then Tuesday I was gone. Driving the tech bus eats up about 4 hours of your day. You get paid for it. But, so, I didn't get a chance to fix the brakes on the truck until today. So I got that done, that went really smooth. But I got all these they're minor problems. They're not a big deal. They're frustrating. They make me say bad words, but they're not that big a deal. They're easily overcome, you know. So, but, you know, I'm still having issues. You know, the weather didn't help. Of course, today it's a beautiful day. You probably can't tell that now. Well, maybe you could in some of the video I put before this. So yesterday morning, before I got on the tech bus, one of the other drivers had just got back from running his morning route, and man, this man has had some problems this year. He had a fire burn down his barn. He had a baler catch on fire. He tore up, I think, a mower because I think his electric company had replaced one of the telephone poles and left it laying, and grass grew over it. He didn't see it and hit it. His dad died. He got throat cancer. I mean, this is all in like 2 years. You know. Well, he told me a week or so back that the throat thing, they think they got it to the point where he's only going to have to go in every week. But then he tells me that, well, he was off last week. I had to cover for him a couple mornings. Well, almost every morning last week. He'd hurt his hip somehow. I still haven't figured that one out. But while he was at the doctor over his hip, his knee gave out when they were transferring him from the chair to the wheelchair, and he tore his meniscus. So he's going to have surgery on that. And my point to all of this goes back to where I started. We've all had this happen. Sometimes you get the feeling that, you know, your world's a mess, which, you know, I kind of did there. I was kind of bumming. Not so much Tuesday, because we got nice sunny days, and it's amazing how sunshine helps your attitude. But anyway, listening to this other bus driver talk about the stuff he's going through, and he's got a decent attitude. He wasn't complaining. He just, was talking. You got to talk about things sometimes. And he's a farmer, so he's not around people a lot. So, and he is a talker. He likes to talk. But anyway, he's a good guy. Sometimes you got to hear somebody else's problems, or you find out about somebody else's problems, and it puts your little problems into a whole new perspective. It just, I hope if you've watched this long, just remember, no matter how bad it may seem, most of the time there's somebody that's got it worse than you. I mean, yeah, I had to replace a brake line, and that's not fun for me. That's never been fun for me, but I don't get up and down as well anymore, and and it sucked that I had to spend $30 plus on brake fluid and a new brake line, which that was another silver lining. The new brake line kit was only like $27, including taxes. So you get to feeling bad about yourself and things that are going on, and then you get a reminder. And I think that reminder I got yesterday came in the form of a tall, skinny bus driver, but he was just a messenger. And sometimes the Lord talks to you, and he has strange ways of letting you know that, hey, you don't have it so bad. So I hope this helps somebody. And my truck's back together, brakes are working. That's what I'm driving right now, and we're going to keep an eye on it. And remember, everything usually works out for the best. So let's look out for each other. Let's help each other when we can. Let's don't forget to pray. That's really important. I said a few prayers this weekend. Catch you later.